Hi, my name is Doug Schneider. Welcome back to Real Hi-Fi. Today, I want to talk about Dua Lipa's recent revelation about her recordings not often sounding as good in the car compared to in the studio when they're making them, and how that might negatively affect the sound of her recordings and others, at least in the home. But before I go on, I want to say I have nothing against Dua Lipa. In fact, I like a lot of her music, and she has an acoustic version of New Rules on an EP that I like a lot and play as a demo. And when I do, people go, wow, who is that? Where is that recording? Because it sounds pretty darn good. But on this topic, she's a little behind the times and also, I think, a little misinformed. I say misinformed unless she's being misquoted in these articles, because what she's implying is that the monitors in the studio are giving a false impression of the sound compared to in the car, when in fact, it's really the opposite. So what's happening is the car is creating one acoustic environment, and I would say a substandard acoustic environment. It doesn't matter what car you have. The placement of the speakers and the high level of road noise is not good for music listening. Whereas in the studio and in the home, those are other more ideal acoustic environments. So what's happening in the car with all this noise and the bad placement of speakers and perhaps bad speakers is when a recording has a wide dynamic range, meaning there's a big contrast between what's quiet, what's loud. The quiet stuff simply gets lost, and you wind up turning up the volume up and up and up till it's blaring at you when the loud stuff comes out. So what recording engineers have done for decades, this is nothing new. In fact, I'm reading Eagles guitarist Don Felder's book, Heaven and Hell, and he talks about in the 70s, he was driving around listening to their recordings in his car and marveling at how they sounded so much different, is that they compressed the dynamic range so the recordings sound more acceptable in the car. You can hear the quiet stuff better. However, if you compress it too much so that everything quiet is loud and everything loud is no louder, when you get it on a home stereo, it just blares at you, and it can be incredibly annoying. And a perfect example of that is MIA's 2010 recording, Maya. I bought this, put it on at home, and it's basically unlistenable. The thing just shrieks at you. It's all just loud and hard. Yet, when I play it in the car, guess what? It sounds great, because in the car, you need everything to be loud. You don't want all that dynamic range. So what I have here is a recording that sounds lousy at home and great in the car. And is Dua Lipa going to go down this route? Perhaps. Because if I had to guess, whoever created this, recorded it, mixed, mastered it, whatever, either for a car or on a lousy system where they couldn't hear really well, like on good studio monitors, and created a sound that was simply just loud because that sounded the best to them because of the substandard system. And if you start mastering or mixing or recording for a car, all you're going to get are recordings that sound good in the car and really lousy at home. And is there a solution to all this? Yes. Though it's a solution no one is likely to implement, although it would be relatively easy to. And that's to have multiple versions of recordings suitable for the different listening environments. At minimum, too, the crushed recording, meaning no dynamic range, suitable for the car, the expansive recording, let's call it, suitable for the studio and home. And maybe you could have some in between, but at minimum, 2. And the result of that would be better sound overall. You wouldn't have an MIA album that's listenable in the car and unlistenable at home, or potentially a Dua Lipa album that sounds great in the car and like hell at home. You would have better sounding recordings in the different environments. Right now, you know what we have? A whole bunch of compromises. In fact, about 11 years ago, when I first met and talked to for about 8 hours, the late, great Canadian recording engineer and producer Peter J. Moore, I brought this topic up. And at that time, he was finishing the mastering of an album and was ready to send out the digital master and the master for vinyl. And he said to me, you know what I have here? And we should do a video on it. And I regret to this day that we didn't do the video on this. He said, I have the vinyl master, which sounds great, and this compromised digital master. Because he said, this has to play on everything else. The home, the car, the headphones, the boombox, the whatever. This one digital master that gets put out has to serve all these needs. Yet, this vinyl master, he felt was superior because he knew that you're not going to be playing a vinyl master in the car or through your computer. You're going to be playing it on a home stereo. So it had more dynamic range intact. But this other one, everywhere. So what I fear Dua Lipa's comments triggering, because she has a lot of profile, a lot of influence, is a situation worse than what Peter described. The situation he described was a compromise where he was achieving good sound across many systems. Maybe not the best on each, but good across many. And he had the experience to do so and also the systems on hand to test that. But if you start recording, mixing, and mastering for one system, and that system is the car, sure, it might sound great there, but you're guaranteed it's going to sound horrendous elsewhere. And I hope that doesn't happen. But I'd like to hear your comments on this. Thank you for watching.